If you've been following my journey, you know how much I love selling my handmade items at markets. Over the past 14 months, they've been the heart of my small business, both in terms of income and also in growing my brand. I genuinely enjoy every part of the process, creating inventory, setting up my booth, and connecting with people who appreciate my handmade art. I've spent the past 4 weeks getting ready for this next market, but things didn't quite go as planned. So today's video is going to be a little different. Let me take you behind the scenes and share what really happened. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Veronica and I run my own small business called loopingteddys. And welcome back to another video. So this one is going to be a little different than what I had planned because if you've been to my channel before, you probably know I was prepping for a market for quite a long time now. I did a little bit of a market prep challenge all leading up to this event. So you're probably wondering, like, where is the market walk? Like, this market was supposed to happen last weekend, but things didn't quite turn out as I hoped them to, and I think we need to talk about this. So the market I was supposed to attend last Sunday was one of those small town festivals that I do for a lot of my markets. So these markets are just like put on by the city. They take place on Sundays where the shops are usually closed where I live, but for those events the shops are open. Some of the streets are like blocked off and there's lots of vendors on the streets. I really like doing these events because there's like a wide range of vendors and booths. There's usually like some clubs and volunteers that have a booth as well as like actual sellers. So there's lots of resellers, which I originally thought might be difficult for me as a handmade vendor to stand out. But over the course of the past 14 months that I've been doing markets, I actually realized that this actually pushes my sales because I tend to stand out as a handmade vendor for these events and I tend to do pretty well for those events. And another added bonus for me is that the booth fee is usually really low for those events. So I usually only pay around 20 to like 50 euros for my booth, and these markets tend to be pretty long, so from 10 to 6 is usually the hours for those types of events, and I really like doing those types of markets. So this particular market is one of the bigger ones of these types of festivals, and I have been to this market twice before and I really like those events. I did pretty well for both of those. I had done the spring market last year and also the fall market, and both of these had been doing pretty well for me. So this year I decided to go ahead and sign up for both shows at the beginning of the year because I knew that this market was my type of market and I was really looking forward to this one because it's one of the bigger ones where like lots of things are happening at the market and there's lots of attendance. So originally, like 2 weeks before the market, I got the booth layout. So like the vendor plan where you know where your booth is going to be at. And before, like the 2 times I had attended this market, I had my booth kind of in the same spot both times. And this time my booth was going to be kind of in the same area, but on the other side of the street. And that was pretty okay for me. I didn't really care which side of the street I was on. I really liked the area that my booth had been in the previous times, so I was looking forward to this market. Okay, so why didn't I go? Everything about this market sounds pretty much perfect. So what happened? So the day before the market, I got an email from the organizer saying that they had some last minute cancellations and they would need to like swap around a couple of booths, which I know that can happen. Like that has happened to me before where my booth location changed kind of last minute, but I didn't really think much of it when I opened the new booth plan. But once I realized where my new booth was, I was honestly pretty upset because my new booth location was on the complete opposite side of the market, which is okay with me, but I realized I was straight across from a political party, and not just any political party, but a far right political party that just had been officially classified as far right the previous day. So just on Friday, they had been classified as extremist right. And they were still showing up to this market. And not only were they still allowed to go to this market, but also they were supposed to be set up right across from my booth, which honestly shocked me quite a lot. This is not just like a different political view, but it's a classified extremist right-wing group, and they were still going to attend a market and be in the middle of like lots of different vendors, and I was honestly not okay with that. So that was quite a shock to me, because I personally believe that markets are like loud and colorful spaces where people with all kinds of different backgrounds can meet up and just enjoy the day. Especially these markets that are like held by the city should bring the community together and not divide it, which is something that this political party is trying to do. So suddenly I was placed right across from this extremist group, and I would be like in frame with them for 10 hours straight, and that was not something I was willing to do. I knew that I was going to get in touch with them for the whole market day because we were right across from each other, and I was not about to do that. So what I did was I reached out to the organizers and I said I would not take that space. I also asked them if they were planning on keeping this political party at the market at all after the decision that had been made on Friday, where they were claimed a proven extremist group and were going to have them let the space that the market provides to promote their very extremist views, and if that was something that they were willing to still do after the decision that had been made on Friday. And that I wanted a different space at the market, but even more, I wanted not to have an extremist group at a market. So I sent my email to the organizer and they never replied. They never replied to my email before the market, so I was just sitting there with complete silence from the organizers. They were not contactable, so I had to make a decision, and I was thinking quite a lot about what I wanted to do for my market. So on Saturday, I was faced with a difficult decision, like would I still attend the market, and if I couldn't get a different space for my booth on the spot, I would be faced with a political extremist group for the whole day. And I was thinking quite a lot about that. I talked to my family, to my boyfriend about what I should do for the market if I didn't get any reply from the organizer. And I ultimately made the very hard decision to not show up to the market. But once I made the decision that I was not going to attend the market, I actually also realized that I have actually been dealing with quite a lot of stress running my small business on the side and prepping for this market. And I have a couple more events coming up in the near future as well. So after I turned down the market and said I wouldn't attend the market since the organizer didn't reply to me and wasn't offering me a different booth, I was honestly kind of okay with it, and also slightly happy that I didn't attend the market, because once I dropped the market, I felt immediately relieved. I felt way less stressed. I finally realized under how much pressure I had been for the past couple of weeks. And I realized just because I could have pushed through this market and went to the market, it didn't mean that I needed to. So I had never canceled a market before, and it felt kind of strange the whole day on Sunday when I was supposed to be at the market. But at the same time, I realized that I should prioritize rest every once in a while and just take a day off, because on Sunday I decided that I was not going to work on my small business the whole day. I took the whole day off. I played some computer games, I went outside, and I just tried to enjoy the day as much as I could, even though I still had a little bit of a weird feeling because I wasn't at the place where I was supposed to be at. But I think that not attending the market was definitely the right decision. I, of course, missed out on quite a lot of income. This market has been pretty good to me in the past and still felt kind of weird. And I'm sure that I will not go ahead and cancel lots of markets in the future. That will hopefully be a once in a lifetime thing that I do. But I felt like it was the only option to cancel the market so that I can protect my values and also kind of like my well-being, because I was honestly super stressed on Saturday with trying to get everything ready for the market, and I wasn't feeling super good about the whole thing. And then just having the information that I was being a part of a space that I very deeply disagree with was not going to be something that I wanted to do. So that whole thing made me think about the type of markets I want to attend in the future. And I have actually made the decision to cancel all markets with this organizer. So I will not be attending this market anymore as long as they don't take a stand and will still allow this very right-wing political party to attend and make the market feel less safe for lots of different groups of people. I realized that I still want to stand with my values, even though it means for me that I am missing out on some of the revenue I would have had at the market if I had attended it. But I think that it's still more important to me to not be a part of a space that promotes those ideas. And I want to focus on more markets that are inclusive and a happy and safe space for everybody. So yeah, that was the learning that I took out of the whole market experience of last weekend. So I know that this was not the usual type of video that you see on my channel, but I hope that by sharing this whole experience, I can offer you some insights of the behind the scenes of running a small business and the types of problems you sometimes encounter that you didn't even think about beforehand. I hope this whole video made sense and you could take something away from this video for yourself. Personal for me, I have decided that I will be taking a couple days to rest and just fill up my creative cup and do a couple of things outside of my small business before returning to the studio in a couple of days and throwing my everything back into it again and getting ready for the next few shows that are coming up. I still have 3 more shows before my summer break, so I am actually looking forward to those way more now that I have had a little more rest. And I think that that is what I want my small business to be about. I want this to be fun. I want to have fun while working on the small business. I want to be creative and not burnt out and stressed about these types of decisions. So yeah, thank you so much for staying throughout this different type of video, and I will see you guys again next week for another video more focused on small business work and more like fun projects and positive vibes. But still, thank you so much for watching this video and take care, and I will see you soon.